All righty. So at this point, I believe we are live, but I will give this a second to catch up just in case we are not. Okay, so everybody who is watching live on YouTube, welcome to the Actualize July capstone presentations for the online evening cohort. My name is Peter Jang. I am the Dean of Instruction at Actualize, and I'm also the instructor for this particular cohort of 13 students who will be presenting tonight. This is a nights and weekend program that teaches full stack web development. So these students have been learning backend, front end, Ruby on Rails, JavaScript, Vue.js, databases, just all aspects of web development. Many of them have come into this program with very little coding experience, and now they will be presenting their final project to demonstrate all of the things that they have learned. It's very exciting, a lot of really cool projects this time around, yeah. So this cohort is an online cohort. I am normally an in-person Chicago instructor, and I believe this is probably going to be my last online cohort before we start transitioning back into in-person cohorts. So we do have other online offerings, but normally I am an in-person instructor, and the next cohort that I will teach will be in person. So it's kind of a bittersweet kind of send off. For those of you who are not located in Chicago, you've had the honor of being in my cohort, and I'm very happy to have been your instructor. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get started with the presentations. But first, I would like to introduce our two panelists who will be having conversations with each presenter after they are done presenting. The first one is Jay Wengrow, the CEO of Actualize.
Thank you, Peter. So I just wanted to say congratulations to all the grads of this cohort. I'm really excited to see the projects that you've built. And just for everyone watching, without seeing it in action, you just have to trust me that they put in a crazy amount of work. Some of them are actually maintaining full-time jobs while they've taken this course. And the fact that they've gone from 0 to 60 learning to code, putting in so much effort, is really impressive and really speaks to their work ethic and really guts to take this on. So kudos to them, really proud of all of them, and really excited to see the projects. I want to thank just many people involved with making this happen. Peter, who is the dean and also the lead instructor of this cohort, is really fundamental to Actualize and made this really happen by teaching, in this case, all these wonderful students how to code, how to become a software engineer. So thank you, Peter. He's assisted by teaching assistants, which includes Sarah and Megan. I want to thank you for that. We also have a really talented careers team, Lisa and Sarah. Thank you for all that you've done for this cohort. And yeah, really excited to see the projects.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay. And we have one other panelist, Diana, if you want to say a couple of little introduction about yourself.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, I'm Diana. As Peter mentioned, I actually went through the Actualize bootcamp myself about 5 years ago, so I'm fairly familiar with all the work and process and hard work you've been going through, and I'm excited to see what you've accomplished. A bit more about myself. I'm currently a developer at a custom web development agency, called Launchpad Lab, located here in Chicago. I've been there a little over 4 years, and I work mainly with Ruby on Rails, APIs, and React frontend, so probably some things that you guys are all familiar with. And yeah, I'm excited to join you and hear more about your projects.
All righty. Thank you so much, Diana. Yeah, so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and dive into the presentations. The format's basically going to be one student at a time, and after each student, we're going to alternate panelists. So John will be the first presenter, and Jay will be the first panelist. So John, whenever you are ready, you can unmute your mic and take over the screen share.
Thank you, Peter. All right, well, talked to a bunch of you about this before, but I came to coding and Actualize from the large format print industry. And when we started talking about the capstones, I was reminded of a previous job I had had, and there was some process in that job that rubbed me a little bit the wrong way. It was just a little bit clunky. It did its job, but I wanted to go ahead and fix that up. So I created this end of day reporter, kind of to replace this shared email that went out to the entire company, and multiplied by everyone putting in the end of day report could probably, I can only imagine what the head of the company saw every morning as he saw everyone's end of day. So this would take all that information and put it front and center and to go about the day. So we'll log in to this, comes to the home page where I spent most of my time. But before we really look too much into this, I'll go into the create a report action just to get some context about all the information that's being displayed on this home screen. So create a report, nice little how was your day? I'm doing great. And then, so the questions that this last company that I worked for really was concerned about were focused on like the 5S philosophy, very corporate philosophy of optimizing workflow and making everything very efficient. So safety concerns, sustaining your workplace, making sure everything is nice and shiny and presentable. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in some example answers that someone would normally put in for their day. So, and is misc tracking, just like random tasks that are not affected to any similar job. Let's say on this particular day, I put in 6 or 10 hours of work, and it was a printing company, so I'm keeping track of the square footage printed, and I helped out on the cutter, so did some of that. So go ahead and submit this report, and it immediately gets added to my list of reports. And it gives you a little icon for a good day, bad day. It's the date, and then a quick overview of the amount of hours worked for the day of that report. Just all gets put front and center. And then a monthly total here for overtime, total hours, and square footage that you've kind of gotten accumulated over the course, which is nice when you're looking at your own and you want to look back at what you did. But where it really gets useful is when we log in as an admin. So I'm going to log in. So and the nice thing about the admin here is it will not show just the one report, but it'll show everyone's reports and pull all of the information from all of the employees. So total amount of hours worked, total amount of overtime dealt out, and then the square footage and information across the board. So, and that all of that information is getting thrown up here to this nice line graph. Shows, get a good comparison what everyone's doing day to day. You can see the cutter broke there, but we kept printing, we got caught up. And that is about it.
All right, awesome job, John. I'm going to go ahead and give it to our first panelist, which is Jay.
Really nice app, John. It's really cool how you take your new skills to really fix what seems to be like a broken process, an antiquated process using a reply all email system. So that's awesome. I hope you, I don't know if you will, but if you can bring this back to that old company, that'd be pretty interesting. I'd love to hear more about, I mean, the chart here, the graph looks great. What technology are you using for that?
That was, I tried at first using this, the initial theme that you can see everywhere else, but there were some things about it that weren't quite connecting to my data nicely. This was, Cannot remember the name of it.
But it's a JavaScript like charting library.
Yeah, it's a JavaScript charting library. It's and it involved a lot of converting my data into a certain format so that it would take all of the dates, display them there, and then take all the square footage and total them up for each day. And that was something that there was like a bug that became a feature there. And if like with multiple reports, or if the same user put in multiple reports for the same day, the way my data came in, it would still just total those up without causing any crashes.
Got it. Was this the most challenging aspect of your project, or was it some other feature? Meaning the chart.
I think so. That definitely, it was definitely the one that I attempted the most times and then came back to, and then went on and worked on other aspects and just kept coming back to it. And when I got that to work and really just start firing off without any bugs, it was definitely the most satisfying part.
Got it. Is there some sort of like backend that you're using? Do you create like APIs with Rails or stuff like that?
Yep. So it's a Rails API. Everything in the create action and the show action and the index action all goes to the backend Rails server and stored in the database, which stores all the reports and all the users. And yeah.
Cool. If you had time to add like one more feature to this project, what would that be?
If I was to add one more thing, I would probably, just thinking of that company again, I would probably look into converting things into like the graph and the reports in general into a PDF. Kind of how we did a little bit of during class, during our group project. And then maybe working that in with MailChimp, just so maybe companies like my company my old company, that really like this kind of information put into their email box could use it.
Yeah, they like their email inboxes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Really nice job, John. Really impressive. Great job.
Thank you.
All righty. Thanks again, John. Great job. Yeah, I can definitely tell you have that user-centric mind. You're like, well, they're not going to use it if it's just a modern web app. They're gonna still want their emails to be sent out in order for them to really adopt that, which is probably very true. It's hard to get people to transition into something, even though it's demonstrably better. All right. That's awesome. Let's go ahead and move on to our next presenter, which is Steph. So Steph, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and take over the screen share. And Diana will be the panelist that follows.
Okay, hello everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Steph, and I came up with this app idea based on one of my, maybe not passions, but pre-COVID hobbies, which is bar hopping and bar crawling downtown Denver with my friends. And I'm hoping that that will be something that ramps up as we reopen. And I wanted to come up with an efficient way to help people plan a night on the town, because if your friends are anything like me and my group, we're horrible at planning. We really just fly by the seat of our pants, and there's, again, no planning that goes into this. We pregame a little too much, and then it's just flies out the window. So this is an attempt to help people efficiently plan a way to kind of see their hometown and what bars there are to offer. So it's called Crawler, and I'll go ahead and log in. Okay. So first thing we have here is all of the, well, it's a little biased, these are all of my favorite bars in downtown Denver that I used to go to a lot. And I use the Mapbox API to get the markers here. And in theory, a user would log in and kind of click around. And this isn't the page they would like plan the bar crawl, but they can like click around and see what bars there are available to them and sort of get a feel of what, how they want their night to go. So then the next page we have is you go to all your crawls. This is specific to whatever user you're logged in as. So obviously these are all my crawls. So Katie's birthday, Dave's 30th. These could also be bar crawls that you haven't done yet, but you're planning on doing it. We did it, y'all. That's graduation from this Capstone, from this cohort boot camp. So on this page, we can click on more info and pull up a past bar crawl. So for example, this was Katie's birthday. We did this bar crawl on June 17th. And this, I also used the Mapbox API. This was a kind of a tricky feature to get to work, but the cool thing is you can click on, so we started here at the gin mill, and then you click on the next one, and you gotta click these here, go walking directions, and then it shows you, this is kind of lame because it's right across the street, but then you go, okay, after we went to gin mill, retro room, then we went to the refinery, automatically goes there for you, walking directions, so on and so forth. And it's sorted in like the actual time that you went from, you know, earliest to latest. So then, of course, we want to do a new crawl. And for this one, we're going to do today's date, which is, I believe, the 14th. Hold on. Capstone, celebration. Create, go more info. So this is something we haven't planned yet. And we have a list of my favorite bars and the ones that are just cheap dive bars, close walking distance in Denver. So we'll go, okay, we're gonna go to One Up at one point tonight, add that. We're gonna go to the retro room, add that. We're gonna go to the refinery, we'll add that one. We're gonna go to Sidecar Lounge Denver. And we're going to go to the gin mill. Okay, so now you have to look at the map and kind of see where you want to go and how you want to start. So they would, you know, start, okay, maybe we want to start at the retro room. So go to the retro room, today's date, we'll say we're going to go at 7:50, click update. And then looking at the map, makes the most sense to go to Sidecar Lounge next. So we'll do that at 8:50. Click update. And then we're going to go to, oh wait, sorry, hold on. And we're gonna go to the gin mill because they've got really good free popcorn and cheap shots. So we're gonna go there next. We'll do that at 9:50, update. And then we're gonna go over here to the refinery at 10:50. And then we're gonna finish the night at One Up, which is a barcade, at 11:50. Update. And then you refresh it and we'll sort it. And kind of, again, the idea is to help people be organized when they're a little too intoxicated to do it themselves. So that's the great part about that. But then say, okay, we have a plan. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I don't know why that didn't work. Okay. Yes, okay, so now we've got our bars and the times, and that's what the plan that we're sticking to, which is great. But sometimes, you know, plans change all of a sudden. Okay, we're done at the gin mill. We don't want to go to the refinery anymore. We're going to go to One Up right after the gin mill. So we could just easily change it to 11, 10, 50. Change this one to 11:50. If we make it, update, refresh. And then it sorts it for you that way. So it's pretty user friendly and allows you to just kind of get easy directions. Click on the bar name. Next one, get the walking directions. And then you click on the next one and it goes like A to B, B to A, just like that, which is pretty nice. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This is something I want to keep working on. And for like the second version, what I had in mind when I was making this was really, I wanted it to be more of, because obviously this is kind of, it's like specific to Denver, but I wanted to be like any person anywhere could put in their city and like it would just come up with bars that they could go to. So it's something I want to keep working on to see if that is a possibility. You know, you'd be wherever you are, Chicago, wherever, and come up with a bar crawl route. Also, if you're like visiting a city for a weekend, just go on a bar crawl. So that would kind of be the feature I would want to like work on more and spend more time on going forward.
All righty. Awesome job, Steph. I'm going to pass it over to our next panelist, which is Diana.
Awesome. Nice work, first of all. I know it takes a lot of effort and time to put it all together, and it looks great. And yeah, I really like the idea. It's definitely useful now that things are starting to open back up. So I'm sure this would be fairly popular. Yeah, so I guess a few questions. I think you had mentioned something on this page was like probably the trickiest. I guess what were some of the challenges you faced and kind of how did you go about solving that?
Yeah, so this was definitely the page, like the show page, just trying to get the calendar time and also integrating like the Mapbox API where you can like click on the name and then go to the next one and it just automatically like refills it into the Mapbox API. So that was just kind of hard to like envision in general. Thankfully, I had great resources and help with that. And also just the ability to refresh because, I mean, obviously you want it to go, okay, this is like stop number 1, number 2, number 3, you want them to be in order. So I didn't even like think about that and had Peter had suggested this would be a really good thing to integrate. So just there's a lot of just the coding aspect and getting it to work was a little tricky, but I think it needs some polishing, but I'm proud of how it turned out and it does what it's supposed to do for the most part. So.
Yeah, so I think you mentioned that this was, I guess for now, Denver specific. How do you go about like, I guess when you do create a new user, are you like adding a location and like defaulting it to Denver? How does that work?
So I wanted to find like an API where you could just put in like a user's location and it would just, you could just come up with like a list of a ton of bars for that city. I wasn't able to get that far. So yeah, this is a lot of just hard-coded Denver bars that I'm familiar with and have gone to a lot. So that's kind of why it's like at this point, not the most user-friendly because not everybody lives in Denver, obviously. So that would be like the next goal is just making it more universal because I do think, and also speaking with a lot of my classmates, they were like, oh, this is like a good idea. Like I would use this. My friends also could use this, like definitely. So yeah, just finding, I guess, some way to find like a good API where you could just get web requests and like, it would just send you a list of bars that you could just like search through and then integrating like the Mapbox API just so that they could like kind of plot out like where they're at and like where they want to go efficiently, essentially.
Yeah, they would definitely be useful to extend it to other cities. Just like looking at it, I think like some ideas maybe you want to consider, which would be probably even make it more awesome too. Well, like maybe obviously you're like creating these calls for like your friends. Maybe you can add features like being able to share them with your friends, inviting them to calls and things like that. So yeah, I think this definitely has a lot of things you can keep working on and just keep working on your coding goals and awesome app.
Yeah, no, and I think also like I was thinking it'd be cool to be able to like add a feature where you could like upload pictures that you took at like that certain bar or something like that. And yeah, like you said, like see what your friends are doing or bar crawls are going on as COVID is ending. People are going to be doing that a lot.
Yeah, there's definitely a social aspect that you can add to it. But I think you've done a great job so far, so congrats.
Thank you so much.
All righty. Awesome job, Steph. Yeah. And so definitely, you'll pilot this in Denver first and then open it up to other cities. But in the meantime, it's just going to encourage people to move to Denver, I guess, and enjoy the bars that are there for right now. All right. So yeah, let's take it to our next presenter, which is Ian, which will be followed by our panelist, Jay. So Ian, if you want to unmute your microphone and take over the screen share.
All righty. Good evening, everybody. My name is Ian, and this is the Music Guru's Lair. So a little background. I am not a big fan of the algorithms when you're going on YouTube and Pandora and you're trying to get some new music to listen to, because it's never really what you wanted. You'll get some stuff that's not your favorite, not your cup of tea. So I wanted to get something that's really straight to the point, where you can find some new music. And the Music Guru's Lair is pretty cool. So I'm going to go in and log in here, because the users are going to be able to input their top 10 favorite albums with this app. And then it's going to store those top 10 favorite albums, and it's linked to the Spotify API. So we're going to be able to authorize our Spotify account on here. There's me and my beard. I can hit agree, and I can go in and I can build my top 10 right away and pick from a list of songs. Or if I rather, I can search for some albums. So I like rock and roll. I like AC/DC. I'm going to put AC/DC in there and do a little search for them. All of AC/DC's albums are popping up. So if I find an album that I like, then I can add it to my top 10 list. Since I'm already logged in, I actually already have a top 10 list. So we can go over to these top 10s and check out my top 10 records, and they're all displayed on here. Now, other people can also look at your top 10s. So down below, we'll have other top 10s from other people. But if I want to, I'm like, you know what, let me get something different. There's a button here that just says, give me new music, and I can click that and it'll recommend me an album based on my list on there. So it's telling me I should check out the first Eagles record. I have, it's good. And so that way I can get some new music recommended to me. And it's just a great way. It's a refreshing standpoint to get some new music without having to go through all the ads and crazy algorithms and end up with a bunch of disappointment on there. So that is the Music Guru's Lair. There's not a whole bunch more for me to add on there, but I'm sure Jay will have some questions for me. So I'll open the floor to some cues.
All righty. Thanks, Ian. We'll pass it over to our panelist, Jay.
Yeah, Ian, this app is sweet. Really nice job. I actually have a couple, more than a couple of questions, but I'll try to limit it. Okay, so you're working with the Spotify API, which is sweet. So there was that OAuth piece that you had at the beginning, right?
Correct.
How challenging was that?
It was a very tedious process because with OAuth, you have to be very specific and really follow all their steps that they present when you're kind of going through the documentation. And even if you have one character out of place, everything crashes, right? So it was a very kind of tedious process trying to make sure I followed everything correctly in their documentation and making sure that everything was showing up the right way. So it was a lot of issues would pop up where I thought I wouldn't have any issues, and then it would turn out like, oh, I'm missing an S at the end of a letter. So it was that kind of process.
Yeah, cool. And then once you've connected with the Spotify API, you're using it to search. So you put an AC/DC. So can you search by a band or song title, or what can you search by there?
Right. It's going to bring up albums based on what you type in. So if I look for Cher, it'll also give me Cherry stuff
so it's
as
the
well.
titles also.
Yeah, but then we'll still get some of her stuff in there too. So it's kind of like that. So you can search a little more specifically, or you can go really broad if I just wanted to search for Peter, and then I'll find a whole bunch of Peter stuff. This is a great album right here, Peter Gabriel, right there. So yeah.
Awesome. And I like how you have the add to top 10 list buttons right there. It makes it really convenient from a user perspective. And then for the recommendation, right, it recommends you that one song. How does that work? How does that recommendation engine work?
Right. So that's the one thing that I would like to further work on in the future. I wanted to build a little bit more of a comprehensive algorithm that would go through and go through everybody's lists that they make. So right now it's a little bit more random with it pop up, and there can be repeats as well. So so that's something that I want to take to the next level in the future.
So is it choosing from other people's lists right now, or how does that work?
Correct. Yeah, it's just grabbing albums right now.
Random, got it. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
making a recommendation engine. I mean, there's probably like a team of 30 people at Spotify who work on their recommendation engine. So it is hard to take that on your own for sure. Cool. What would you say surprised you the most when working on this project?
Let's see, what surprised me the most? I think well, there was a couple things. I was pretty surprised with how deep OAuth goes. And so that was kind of like, whoa, you know, when I was working through that and just going through all the documentation for it. But I was also just surprised that like how much I enjoyed it. I was so worried that I was gonna get like anxious as deadlines were approaching and wanting to get things done. But the more I spent time on it, the more it made me, you know, I just enjoyed it and I really cared about it and I wanted to put everything I got into it. So
got it. Awesome.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, it really shows. This is a fantastic app. Really, really nice job, and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Jay. Appreciate it.
All righty. Thanks again, Ian. Yeah, I'm looking forward to when you deploy this. So I'll be able to put in my top 10 list and we can start having a lot of petty debates about our tastes in music.
Exactly. There we go.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to our next presenter, which is Michael, who will be followed by our panelist, Diana. So Michael, if you want to go ahead and take over the screen share.
All right. My application is named Today's Inspiration. And I created this application in order to brighten the user's day with a maybe thought-provoking image and quote. Considering the current state of the world with the pandemic, current wildfires, depression, anxiety, and loneliness, this would be a great thing to have as maybe one of your home pages whenever you open up a browser or open up a new tab. So my application uses two APIs. One API you can see here that brings up the quote and the author, and then another API that brings up this image. These update every 24 hours at midnight Central Time, bringing in a new quote and a new image. And the image is personalizable by genre, and that's done on the back end. So on the back end, I selected nature, and that's why we have a nature image. But if I were to go back there and change it to New York City or Paris or something, it'll bring up an image of Paris, and every day it'll bring up an image. It'll bring up an image in the genre that you selected. So the user is able to view this content without logging in, but they're unable to use one of the features, which is saving for later. You see the button doesn't work. So let's go ahead and try that. Let's log in as my test user, and here you go. So actually, I think it just changed at 5 p.m. Western time. I think I have that time incorrectly because we got a new image and a new quote. Here, since I'm logged in now, I can save for later. So I went ahead and saved for later, and it'll bring it in to your saved quotes here. And you'll have it here. And here you can unsave, which will remove it from the database, as well as saving to or sharing to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and email. And one thing that I almost was able to implement was the Twitter share feature, which whenever you click it, it'll automatically populate the quote and the author. which would be something good for version 2. For Facebook, it would be nice if it could auto-populate the status. For Instagram, it would be perfect if it could post the image and the quote as the caption. And for email, it would just send the quote and the image as an attachment. Let's see, so for future versions, well, also here on the main page, daily quote, you are able to save it or share it to all those places as well as share the website. So if you wanted to share it to some of your friends or post it onto your Twitter page, you could maybe automate that for every morning to post onto Twitter the quote of the day. Yeah, so some things that I would have liked to add, maybe version 2, would be to add the ability to view previous days. So here, there was a past posts button, but I wasn't able to implement it. But you could scroll down and see the 9 previous days. So each item from these APIs would have to be saved for 9 days, and it would just cycle through, and you would also be able to save those for later as well as share those. Also, another thing would be integrating Twilio. It's called Twilio, right? The texting service, the texting API, to where it maybe could send you the quote and the image every morning to your phone. Maybe have this be a little more integrated into your life. And also having a front end ability for the user to change the genre of the image. So maybe have a preferences here where the image or the user can select, well, this is nature, but maybe select cities or mountains, or maybe even be more specific or let the user input their own thing. So like specifically like Austin, Texas, or Denver, Colorado, things like that, and it'll bring up the image, as well as finding a new API that will allow me the ability to search for keywords within these quotes instead of just bringing up random inspirational quotes. Yeah, that's my app.
All right, very cool. Thank you, Michael. I'm going to pass it over to our panelist, Diana.
All right, again, first of all, great job. I really like the simplicity of the site. It looks very nice and clean, and the overall idea, even though it's simple, I think it's very useful for anybody who just likes to start their day with some positivity. So you mentioned you worked with 2 of those APIs. Maybe you tell us a little bit more about them, and did you have any issues like integrating with them?
So that was probably the easiest part. I had a lot more issues with the theme and the CSS than the actual APIs. The one thing was for the quote. I was given maybe like 30 different fields to choose from. I had quote, I had author, I had some other block quote that had some CSS included in it, some complications. But I was able to just select the quote and the author and just show those 2 and not include the rest of the data the API was giving me. But the image was probably the easiest. This is from Unsplash, and they have a repository of 2 million images, I believe. So pretty much I just have to change the URL in my API on the back end to include the genre that I want to have. But that definitely wasn't the hardest part of this. It was definitely the CSS and the theme and the save for later button.
Yeah, I know for me personally, the front end tends to be the part I struggle with the most. Do you find yourself gravitating more towards like the back end versus the front end?
I think I enjoy the front end a little more. It seems a little more, or to me, it's a little more satisfying to see something that I created. Although the back end is definitely necessary, but if I had to choose either to be a front end or a back end developer, I'd probably choose front end.
Awesome. I guess now that you've finished the project, I think you mentioned a few things that you would like to change. Is there, I guess, if you had to choose one thing that you would want to add first, what would it be?
Definitely, it would be to add the previous 9 posts. So a total of 10 days. So let's say you missed the one from yesterday, missed the one from the day before yesterday. Whenever you open up a new tab, it'll show today's inspiration, but then also yesterday's inspiration, and show like all of those quotes and all of those images. And then also integrate Twilio, the texting API to, I'm not sure if Twilio can do this, but to like text it to your friends pretty quickly instead of just having it text to you. So sharing it via text.
Got it. And then final question, just because of the simplicity and obviously being able to see that as you go through different tabs, did you do any research into maybe like making it a Chrome extension? So anytime you open like a new Chrome tab, this might be like your main view or something like that.
I was trying to do that to set it as my home page in my preferences. I didn't know that had to be an extension, but that's something that I would definitely like to explore, since it would be nice to open up a new tab and it not just open up to Google and it open up to this.
Cool. Thank you. Great work.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome job, Michael. Yeah, I love the idea of just like random quotes and random images, and sometimes it's just like a really powerful combination. I can imagine sometimes it's a hilarious combination. So, I think it'd be a lot of fun for people to come in every day and just see what kind of interesting things would pop up from that. So yeah, great job again. Nice, clean, beautiful app. All right, let's go ahead and switch it over to our next presenter, which is Macy. So Macy, if you want to unmute your mic and take over the screen share.
Okay, so I made a site that shows you what to wear according to the weather in your current location. And this is just a whoops, hang on. Let me log in. Log in. And this is a link to the user's closet. This is the weather in the current area that's assigned to the user. And these are the outfits that show up when they're when it goes through the data, a while loop. And these are outfits from other users. It's kind of like an inspiration type kind of thing. Kind of like Pinterest. And a link to create one here. So if you do something like this, and just do okay, and this is the user's closet. This is every outfit they own with a little blurb on it, their info, the outfits info, and that will pop up right there. And then you can go to the front. It might not show up because I think it's raining in Austin right now. Yeah, it won't. But you also have the login page here and the exit one here, and then a sign up option here. And there's Peter's. And I think that's it.
All righty. It's a beautiful, beautiful app. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to our next panelist, which is Jay.
Yeah, really nice job, Macy. Even before you said Pinterest, I was like, oh, this reminds me of Pinterest. So you're getting the real-time weather in the city where the user is, right?
Yeah.
So how are you pulling that off?
You have to send a link to the. I'm using a current, an open weather API, and it
Okay.
uses the current user's weather by. You have to put city equals current user, and I forget what it was, and then you have to put city in your params. And I think it's current. I think it's a current user dot location, if I remember correctly, in my Ruby style.
But I was just looking in general. So you're using the open weather API.
Mhm.
Got it. Was that simple to use, or did it take some wrangling?
It took some wrangling. I also have an if condition that runs through the outfits in the same section. So that pulls the main temp from the API and then runs it against, or like runs it against the outfits and then pulls which one should show according to that temperature.
Mm-hmm. So it goes by the temperature range. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Was that logic tricky? Because I'd imagine like comparing ranges.
It was.
Because it like theoretically, I don't know, is it possible for a temperature to like fall into different range, like the same temperature could fall into different ranges of clothes? You sort of have to like check each one, right?
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, so that's cool how you were able to put that together. What feature would you say you enjoyed building the most in this app?
Oh goodness, I actually loved a lot of it. Some of it was hard, but I think my favorite feature was probably I liked doing the weather in this part.
Mm-hmm. It looks great.
Yeah, thank you.
It's really cool how you're able to pull that. Is that image also, because that's like a rainy kind of image, or is that coincidental, or is it actually pulling that image based on the temperature?
It's pulling that image based on the current weather conditions. That's the rain outfit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's raining in Austin right now.
And the cloudy background in that part is also based on the temperature?
No, that's just something
that's coincidental that it looks rainy. Yeah. Okay, got it. But the recommended outfits are based on that.
Yeah.
Really cool. What would for the next version of this app, what's the next feature you'd want to build?
Oh, there's a bunch of things. I definitely want an image that is unique to the user's current weather to pop up.
Okay.
I might have to make this instead of something with a text box with a scroll bar. I think I'll probably make it something that is more centerfold.
Okay.
And bigger. And then maybe has instead of like a carousel option where you can go through the outfits.
Oh, that'd be cool. Cool.
Yeah. And also,
the
closet too, I would change as well. I would make like a button that pops up with a dialog box with the info in it.
Yeah.
But other than that, I actually had a lot of fun doing this. So.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, it's good that we have some clothes here that will withstand temperatures of 150 degrees, because that's pretty scary. So really, really nice job, Macy. Really impressive.
All right. Thank you so much, Macy. And don't think it wasn't lost upon me that I was the person she logged in as. I was very surprised the first time she presented this app. I'm like, how did she guess what was in my closet? It's like she literally took pictures of every outfit that I own, and when I was living in Austin, it was uncanny. So I don't know how she did it. So must be some artificial intelligence going on in there. But yeah, like I said, beautiful app. You did a great job, both back end and front end. Awesome. So let's go ahead and pass this off to our next presenter, which is Brandy. So Brandy, if you want to take over the screen share, and whenever you're ready to begin.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Brandy, and I'm going to present my app Give2. So basically, I try to donate to different charities and organizations as much as I can, and as much as my budget will allow. And I had my, kind of like my go-to charities. However, over the past few years, and especially I think we all can agree last year, just on social media and just on the news, just the apparent needs around the world just seemed almost infinite. And for someone like me, it was overwhelming. And I also felt a sense of guilt because I can only contribute to so many. So I figured, wouldn't it be nice if I had an app that, in a sense, organized my charities for me? So, so on my homepage, it basically has like a little inspirational quote and our motto, or in a sense, hope for change, love by showing care, and support through giving. So let's go ahead and sign in. It's B with a silent H. Okay, so it brings me to my Save Charities list, but I don't have any yet. In the next version, it would have a call to action, something like, hey, get started. You don't have anything on your list. But in the meantime, I do have this button that will allow me to add more charities. So I'm directed to my charities list. And as I scroll up, I have basically, the idea is to keep it simple, because this app is to help combat decision fatigue or overwhelm. So it has basically just the name, an intriguing picture, and then a button to click for more info. Next version, I wasn't successfully able to integrate a charity API, but definitely there would be, more charities with some type of filtering sort by system, where you would sort by location, country, by cause, to really narrow down and make it more specific. So I'm just going to go ahead and add some charities. So it just brings up general information and then the link, so that if I want to learn more about the site, I can go to that site. If it's something that speaks to me, I'll go ahead and add it. So I'm going to add this one. It's populating. And then this cute little baby. And let's add just one more. Let's do this one. And these are actual charities too, so take note and feel free to jot some down if you like. So then on my saved charities list, so basically I'm able to put what day I want to start donating to the charity. So this is just hard coded in right now, but eventually it would have some kind of event API that would alert the user, as to, okay, today's the day to donate to your charity of choice. But in the meantime, I can, just choose, how often I want to select to the charities, and I can also choose the amount that I want to donate on the frequency that I select. So then I will go ahead and donate. And this is connected to Twilio, which you cannot see this. And I don't even know why I'm going to hold this up, but I'm going to do it. So there it is, letting me know. And it basically says that you have successfully donated to the National Alliance to End Homelessness. Now, so the point of this app, though, is to really just simplify the process and to just take away, again, that decision fatigue. And so I have this button here where the app will decide for you who you want to donate to. So let's say you didn't put in, the user didn't put in any dates, and they just want to keep it really just according to their budget. When they're ready to give, they can click on this button. It's kind of anticlimactic right now, and it will randomly select from your saved list of charities who you want to donate to. So I clicked it and it selected Smile Train, second time National Alliance to End Homelessness. I would really love for this to just be a little bit more suspenseful and have something where maybe it's, images flickering or spin the wheel or just something where, the user feels, excited, because that's the point. You want to keep the person excited as well. So that is essentially my app in a nutshell. And that's it.
All right. Awesome job, Brandy. I'm going to hand it over to our panelist, Diana.
Awesome job. I really love the noble cause, obviously, first off, and just all the thought you put behind the application. I guess to start off, what is your favorite part? I know you have a few different features, but what did you enjoy implementing the most?
So the star, and I logged out, but the star is really just allowing the app to decide who you donate to. So that's something I really would want to just pop, because the point is that, like, you have your budget and just the choices are really pretty endless. And it's just one way that you can, feel good, do something positive, and really don't have to put too much thought into it. So that was really probably what the whole idea of the app was built around.
Awesome. I think you mentioned right now there isn't an API for like getting a lot of that charity data. Right now you're just adding charities on your own. Did you do any research about APIs that you might want to work with?
Yes. And I have found one that it seems pretty amazing. It's very, very extensive, has tons of information on the charities, tax information, just everything. So I have my eye on one, and, hopefully, I will be continuing with this app, and I would love to bring in all of those features and bring it to life.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And then I think you mentioned you were able to successfully integrate with the Twilio API. What was that like?
Yes. And yes, I was like, I've got to get something on here. So that does work. But I do think it's important also to have a reminder of sorts, because we're also busy, so something that links to email or text, even though I'm guilty of reading the text and then forgetting about it later. So probably like an email or something that populates on a calendar, so that it's more visual, I think.
Awesome. Yeah, that's all the questions I have. Great job.
Thank you.
All righty. Awesome job, Brandy. Very sharp looking app.
Thank you.
I know it takes a lot of effort to take a very simple idea and turn it into something that looks as amazing as this. Yeah, and so great job, and making me feel a little bit guilty with some of the charities that I should be donating to. So maybe I'll donate right after this, and you know that you've started that process with at least one person, so that's definitely good. All righty, let's take it to our next presenter, which is Randy. So Randy, if you want to unmute your mic and take over the screen share.
Can you guys see my screen? Great. So how's everybody doing? My name is Randy Rodriguez. I built a Twitch broadcasting app. Well, not broadcasting per se, but you can watch multiple broadcasts at once. So if you didn't know what Twitch was, Twitch is a site that you can go to where people broadcast their games and all sorts of other genres. So some people sing and do other things. And during the pandemic, there was a spike in Twitch streamers. There was about an 89.5 increase from 2019 to 2020, which is a crazy increase. So Twitch is making a whole lot of money. And some of the ways that Twitch streamers make money is by either displaying ads while their viewers are watching their stream, or the amount of viewers that they get that are subscribed to their channel. One of the frustrations of being on Twitch and like watching your friends or family streams, or just your overall favorite streamer, is that you can only watch one stream per tab or per browser window. And so I'm just going to log into the app now. This is using the Twitch API to use OAuth to log in with my Twitch account. Ignore the name, right? There's a multi-factoring, so I'm going to have to put in this code. It should be coming in now. All right, so when you log in, all the data here is dynamic. So this is me from my my actual Twitch account. This icon is my actual Twitch account icon. These are the channels that I follow. And these are the people that are currently live right now. And so the point of this app is so that you can click on one of the people you're following and you can watch them currently stream. So Tim the Tapman is probably one of the biggest, most famous streamers that I follow. And then if you wanted to watch another guy, you can watch, let's say, Aiden, and here's his stream. And so this is being displayed with iframes on the page. It's dynamically adding or changing the source of the iframe, particularly to who I'm clicking on. So if I were to click someone else, let's say someone down this list, the iframe now changes to Ticket TV down the list. In addition to displaying their video streams, you can open the chat and chat on their particular stream. So for Aiden here's Aiden, and Ticket TV, here's his stream, which he has no one talking right now. But you can go on here and actually chat with them. Yeah, so disregard that right now, but yeah, so you can actually go on there and chat with whatever particular streamer you're watching. And that's about it for me, for what my simple but hard to build app does.
All righty, awesome job, Randy. I'm going to pass this over to our panelist, Jay, who's a huge Twitch gamer, so very familiar with the topic at hand.
Oh, well, I will say, Randy, this is so cool. A lot of I don't know, a lot of triggering some ADD for me watching all these things at the same time. But okay, I have a lot of questions. So
Sure.
we OAuth. I know we had another OAuth app so far. What was it like for you working with the Twitch OAuth? And was there an added layer with that authentication code that they texted you? Was that another layer you had to deal with?
Yeah, so two things. So OAuth was the hardest thing of this entire application. It took me so long to get that working because everything depended on OAuth, right? To get the data from Twitch, you need to verify, you need to sign in as a user. That was by far the hardest part for me, at least. And secondly, the MFA, the multi-factoring component, that's particularly with my account because I care about security.
Yeah,
I don't want to get hacked.
That's why you showed us you log in front of all of us. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. No, but yeah, so the MFA is particular to my account. Hopefully everybody else is using it. There's one component that I didn't mention was the performance that you get with only using this one app versus using multiple tabs on your browser, watching multiple streams. It's also really annoying that you have to like open multiple tabs to go to each player's stream and talk into each community. So that's one of the benefits of this application.
Yeah, out of curiosity, have you tried, like, is there a capacity limit? Like, if you like click on 10 of these, does anything slow down? And
Yeah. So the limit is actually 5. You can watch up to 5 streams before it starts getting like funky. Like it just starts lagging and starts being weird. So I limited right now to 2, just for presentation purposes. But normally I want the limit to be 4 because usually when you're in a game, you're gaming with at least 4 people, and at least most of the time 4 of those people that you're gaming with that are also streamers are streaming as well. So if you guys each give each other a watch, you guys all have a free 1 viewer. And I tell you from experience, 1 viewer counts. Like 1 viewer counts.
Can you turn on the audio for the, not that you should right now, but do you have ability to? Yeah, you just turn that on.
Yeah, so you
Okay.
have the ability to do everything you can do on Twitch.
Got it.
So you could put a full screen. I could even take a clip.
So all these capabilities are given to you because you've connected to Twitch via OAuth that gives you all this?
Correct. So the functionality comes from the embedded iframe from Twitch.
Got it.
The embedded player gives me the options to do these things. However, you can disable features with the class, the object that they give you. They give you options to like enable, disable features. I just left it all enabled.
Got it. And is the chat feature also like an embed that they give you?
Yeah, so it's also an embedded iframe, which is
you didn't have to build this whole chat thing. That comes as an embed from Twitch, right?
Right. Yeah. So this modal on the right, I built, and then the iframe. So this square after the name is the iframe.
Got it. You had to build the sidebar kind of thing.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. What's the next thing for this app?
So the next thing for this would be to allow people who are not logged in to watch whoever they want by doing a search for whatever streamer they know. Because not everyone has a Twitch account.
Right.
I would imagine that Lisa is not a Twitch streamer with all the things that she has to do during her day. So
I don't have one either. So
right.
Yeah.
So if she wanted to watch Peter play his games, she'll be able to search for Peter and watch him without having a Twitch account.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Really cool, Randy. Really, really nice job. Well done.
Thank you.
All righty. Yeah, great job, Randy. And I have to say, that's still running there. So just cross my fingers, but I'm glad there were no weird snafus, as those are literally live streamers right now with live chats. And so the chances just something just even vaguely inappropriate popping up is not zero. So I think we did a good job. I know Randy, he's trying to keep it. Tim the Tat Man, of course, is very popular streamer. And so hopefully nothing inappropriate pops up there. But yeah, no, definitely, getting all this stuff connected live is really impressive. Cool. So let's go ahead and pass this off to our next presenter, which is Logan. So Logan, if you want to unmute your mic and take over the screen share.
Okay, can everyone see my screen? Awesome. Hi guys, I'm Logan. Real quick backstory. So I moved to Chattanooga as a part of everything with my ICU job. Chattanooga, Tennessee is a wonderful city. It is considered like one of the jewels of the South in regards to like location and the geography. And two big things, when you come to Chat, you better own a pair of Chacos and you better know how to rock climb. And unfortunately, I did own Chacos, but I did not know how to rock climb. So when I first came, my wife was an excellent resource. She's been doing it for years. But the type of rock climbing I wanted to do, which is called bouldering, where it's just you and the mountain, I did not really know anyone in town that was able to kind of help me out with that. And it wasn't really something that I just wanted to go out and venture on my own for safety reasons. So I decided to come up with an app that would kind of tackle that problem for someone that is right now specific to Chattanooga, that wanted to get into bouldering, that was a beginner. So you would have some type of resource that you could use to know the mountains, know the areas around, and be able to climb some of these things with a little bit of a description, a picture to help you out. So for everything in regards to safety sakes, I'm already logged into a new user. Here's my really cool sign up page. You sign up, you can log in, you can log out. But once you go to that, here's kind of like where the bread and butter is. There is an option for mountains. You go here and essentially because of like where chat's location is, you're going to see a few mountain ranges on here that are not actually in Tennessee, but they're so close in location and considered like almost sister cities that we went ahead and put it in here. So as you can kind of see, I have the name here for you. It gives you the location and it tells you to see some of the problems. So little lingo check real quick. Problems is just what it's actually called when you're climbing the rocks. They're called problems because you want to solve them. So real cool thing, if for some reason your GPS isn't working and you actually click on this, it will connect you to Google Maps to actually show you where each mountain is. So once you go ahead and see some of the problems, it takes you here to the page. This is where the fun is. It tells you, check the beta. I got to do this on TV real quick because I told my wife that I would. This word is legitimately, it just means advice. When I first moved to chat, I came in and was like, yo guys, what's up? What's the beta on this and that? And she told me, I'm trying to help you out, man, but you sound like a nerd. Don't say that word. Well, it turns out a lot of people actually say it. So shout out to this page. Got the beta on here, and here's the location of the actual mountain. So you clicked on Stone Fort. So where it gets fun is it has a real quick description of each problem. You have one called circus rings. It gives you the grade on the bottom, and the grade is how hard the actual problem is. It starts at 0 and goes all the way up till 10. These problems are considered a kind of very beginner friendly, and so some of them get rated 0.5. It's a little bit of a challenge. But as you scroll down, cool part about it is you'll kind of notice, well, what's going on. It says let's do this, but don't really have an option to click for these. These are V1s. So I'm going to take what I can get. I'm going to add circus rings. I'm going to add needless things. So I'm going to get off here and I'm going to go to my climbs. This is the portion where it's almost like your to-do list. These are the climbs that you have decided, yeah, man, I'm going to give it a shot and see what I can do. Gives you a real quick description of everything with it, a little bit of motivation. And so the thing is, you have an empty thing that says you are level, here's the climbs that you want to rock. And the 2 climbs I selected, circus rings and needless things. So once I have climbed those, and one day there's going to be on version 2 an implementation to like take a picture of the climb or something, but we're going to go Scouts Honor here and say that you hit it. So once you verify both of them, it automatically, little inspiration's been defeated and it gives you your level. So now once I exit out of here and go back to my problems, the things that I could no longer climb or couldn't climb are now options for me. And I'm able to scroll down the list, and anything that's a grade 1, I'm able to climb now. This just continues until you get to the big boss block and tackle of grade 2. And at the bottom of each thing, I also have a map API or a weather API that's going to kind of just give you a heads up of what the temperature is. So, 76, humidity 72. I learned the hard way. You don't want to climb when the humidity is really high. I fell about 10 foot once learning that. So that is pretty much my application. I just wanted something kind of simple, simplistic, but still able to help newcomers like me not look as silly. So thank you.
All righty. Awesome job, Logan. Let's take it to our next panelist, which is Diana.
Hey, awesome job. First of all, that looks gorgeous. So I really love the themes chosen and all the imagery in that. It looks absolutely amazing. I'm not a climber, but if I was, I would probably make me want to do some climbs. So I guess to start, maybe can you talk a little bit more about how you're getting all this mountain data? Is it data that you just added, or I think you mentioned there might be something about the location to kind of figure out which mountains to show users? How does that all work?
Yeah, so everything in regards to the mountains, I actually just type that data in. Like I said, we have a pretty broad range, but these are the ones that are closest considered kind of like the ring of really cool mountains to climb. They're kind of set in stone as some of the best in the South. So I wanted to make sure those were the ones of selection. And everything in regards to the problems as well. I also added that in. Unfortunately, there's nothing out there right now to be able to like seek them out and add them in by that. But yeah, there's over, I think around 400 problems. So I'm gonna have a lot of things to put in my hands.
Nice. Yeah, I know when I did my capstone, I did a lot of manual work of myself because I didn't have any guy to work
You
with.
feel the
So
pain.
I feel the pain. For those problems, I think you mentioned that they're like, right now you're listing them in order of difficulty, and then as you unlock kind of your levels, you get to see more. How does that, I guess, algorithm or logic behind figuring out what level you are and unlocking those
So
next
that's actually my favorite part. I saved that for last while I was been working on the capstone. So I just have an algorithm like in the back end in my actual user model, and essentially I have everything set up properly. Shout out to Peter and all of his Google Excel data sheets to make sure that everything actually pulls the way it should. But I have it set up where it's essentially doing a loop that's pulling through the problems that you've actually climbed and giving you a grade, like what level you are based off that. And I just have the logic in the back end where you're not able to actually climb. Let's do this and add it to your climbs. It won't make the patch request unless you're the proper level for it.
Nice. It's probably very complicated. So is that something you enjoy, like working more on the back end and kind of figuring out the data side, or do you like more kind of the visual side of things?
I definitely think I am probably more of a back end like type ordeal. I like the kind of I don't want to say complications, but how tedious it can be to make sure that that one thing that you want pulls through the right way. So I've really enjoyed like the back end specifically.
Awesome. And then I guess now that you've kind of completed a good portion of this app, is there anything that you would do differently?
Yeah, I think I'm going to continue to work on it. And I think one thing that I'm really going to implement outside of adding more problems on top of it is I would like to put some type of another model with everything that would be like a workout suggestion, technique suggestion. I learned also the hard way and through eating a lot of humble pie that just because you work out doesn't mean you can climb these mountains. There are a lot of technical aspects to it. So one day I will try implementing something that gives like newcomer technical advice and newcomer like a workout section that if you're stuck going from level 2 to level 3, these are some common lifts and with an extension to show you how to do proper form that would really kind of up your game.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. Yeah, great job. Keep working on it.
Thank you so much.
All righty. Yeah. I'm not much of a mountain climber either, but if I had an app like this to make sure I wouldn't bust my ass, you know what I mean, on my first climb, then maybe I'll give it a shot, Logan. So let me know when you get that up and running.
I've got you.
All righty, let's take it on to our next presenter, which is Ryan. So Ryan, if you want to unmute yourself and take over the screen share.
All righty. Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Sims. I am the younger brother to Logan, and some would say more handsome, but of course, that's always up for debate. So when I was going into this capstone, the things that I was thinking about is obviously like real life problems that I struggle with. And as a gamer from the time my dad let me play Street Fighter when I was 3 years old, any gamer we've all been in this position where we're done with a game, we're feeling kind of depressed, especially if it was a good game. And so we're trying to figure out where we want to go next. Well, then there's also times where you have a lot of games, but you don't want to play any of them. So that's kind of where the concept for what to play came through at. So this is my website, what to play. I've got a nice little looking for adventure, look no more with I kind of wanted like an epic little battle scene here going. So I'm already logged in as myself. So we can just go ahead and check out our games here. As you can see, it is there's a lot of games. I'm using the RAWG, it's RAWG video game API, and it has like 500,000 video games. It's actually so many, it's insane. So if we click more info on any of the games, we can get a more detailed look at it. So we can see its release date, what the critics gave it, what its ESRB rating is, so whether it's mature or not, and what platforms it comes on. And then, of course, it has like a brief description of the game, so you can kind of look into it a little bit more. So if we see it and we're like, okay, I'm kind of vibing with this, then we can go ahead and add it to our favorites list. So here I have a few games already on here, but we'll just do the Left 4 Dead one. So now we can look into our favorite, and it comes with the critic rating, but we can actually give it our own rating and review. So let's just say I'll put it as a 5 and just say zombies are sick. And we can submit it, and then when we go back into it, it updates and we're here. Now, another thing that I wanted to really do with this is, my favorite list is great, but I kind of wanted to see like what other people like. So you can click on this button here to see what other users are playing. And as I'm the first user, it'll have all my games. And then my beautiful girlfriend, Maddie, likes the game a little bit. So she'd be shooting bandits and Tomb Raider. That's something she likes. And then we can go down here to Logan Sucks, and he really likes Borderlands and Life is Strange. So I can see Doom here, and I look at his review, and it's shoot, blood, rage, repeat, baby. And I'm like, I don't know, that kind of sounds up my alley. So I can add that to my favorites myself, and now here it is on my list. And of course, I can also go into it and give it my own rating review and submit it, and it'll automatically populate like that. And another thing I also wanted to show is in the search bar right here, you can search for a game, but you can also search for, if you wanted to just look at shooters themselves, you'll have a whole list of shooters, and you can do it with, RPGs, and it'll pull out RPGs. And all of them have a few different genres. So even if the genre itself isn't showing, like Horizon Zero Dawn says it's action, it is an RPG as well, so it'll still populate like that. So yeah, that is what to play. I'm really proud of it. It took a long time. Those APIs were so deeply nested that it was a struggle, but we ended up getting it all together. So yeah, thank you.
All righty, awesome job, Ryan. Pass it over to our world famous gamer, Twitch streamer, panelist Jay Wengrow.
That's exactly right. But I'm actually wondering how this whole Capstone showcase would have gone had Logan gone second. I don't know. Everything could have been different. But really nice app, Ryan. Really cool. It looked great. I do like video games. So let's start with this. I want to dig a little bit into the API, but first, the games that are showing up when you go to the main games page, how does it decide which games are displaying? It's not displaying all 500,000 games, right?
Yeah, no, it definitely isn't. So I have pagination on it.
Okay.
Where it shows just 40 games at a time, and it shows them based off of their critic rating. So like what's the highest inside of the database.
And that the critic rating comes from the API?
Yes, it is deeply nested in there.
Okay.
So I had to do some looking for sure, but yeah, that's where it comes from.
Got it. So it's showing you like the first 40, like highest rated, but then you can theoretically get to the second page.
Yes.
Got it. Cool. And when you do the search in the search bar, is that searching the whole API, or is it searching from the 40 that are up there, or whatever selection it is that's up there?
It's searching through what's on the page, and that was something that I wanted to implement but didn't actually get time to. Because like you said, you go through 500,000 games, not to pull up. So I was like, maybe I should just play it safe and have it what's actually on the page that you can find.
Yeah, that'd be pretty complex. Cool. So I guess tell me more about the pain of the API. So it was nested data. Like what? Tell me more.
How much time do we have, Jay? Because I could literally write a thesis on this.
Let's time box it to, I don't know, 90 seconds.
Okay, so when I first made this, I just hard coded a few games, and I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be so easy. Well, then, I was like, well, I already have the API. I kind of know how it works. I know how to implement it in the back end. We're sitting pretty right now. And then I tried to do some stuff and was like, oh my God, I can't do this stuff. So getting the name, it's just getting the name of the game. There's a data array that goes into another object, and then you can access the name there. Yeah. But then, if you look at platforms, this was insane. I had to make a whole new function that, loops through the data and then the platforms array, and then goes into the specific platform hashes and can pull it out and list it in a list. It was so much. It was a lot.
But it sounds like you learned a lot about like data manipulation, which is a
Yeah,
good start.
I remember when we were doing pre-work, which of course your voice charmed my dreams for the first 5 weeks. And we would do some of those deeply nested hashes towards the end, and I'm like, how in God's name am I supposed to find this? Like, this is stupid. And after doing this, I'm like, okay, I'm way better at this than I gave myself credit for, because I definitely had to do it to it with this. It was intense. So I'm actually really proud that I was able to get everything up for the most part that I wanted.
That's impressive. I know you're probably the king of doing that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, hopefully I'll never have to do it again, but I know that's a bad outlook. So
awesome. So what's the very next feature for this app?
There's definitely one. I would really like to have like a separate games index to where there's no games populated on it, and then you can like choose tags, like your genres essentially too. You can just choose like action, and then all the games that are action will show up to where you don't actually have to go through and search them. I would definitely like to get some modules put in here to where, like, when I update my favorite and rate, or my rating and review, to where I don't have to do it, and then when I submit it, it goes back to this screen, and then I have to show it again in order to show that it was updated. So there's definitely a few things that I want to touch up on and get implemented in.
Yeah, I guess something that just occurred to me, when you favorite a game, like, what are you storing in the database? Do you end up storing all the data of the game in the database, or like an ID, or how does that work?
Yeah, pretty much. So you're storing, so like my backend, this is a very API heavy app, and my backend, I literally have users and favorites, and the favorites schema is it's got the user ID and the game ID and the review and the rating.
But you don't have to store all the information, because you're just storing the game ID.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
you can look it up in the API. Got it.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to put I didn't want to have to put like the description and all the platforms in this, because I'm then like, oh my God, my serializer is going to hate its life, So that's why I kind of left it for the game show. Made it a lot more simple. Well, not simple, but easier to manage.
Yeah, this is fantastic, Ryan. Really impressive. Really nice job. Congrats.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Yeah. Awesome job. Very visual, beautiful looking app. Didn't see some of my favorite games on there. So we're going to have some conversations after, Ryan, about your favorites list. But
yeah, I've got it coming in the back end, dude. Don't worry.
All right. So let's take it to our next presenter, which is Jeff. And the next panelist will be Diana. So Jeff, if you want to unmute your Zoom and take over the screen share.
All right, thanks a lot. Yeah, I'm Jeff Steenstra, and what we have here is the Travelog web app. And it's kind of inspired by the last year and a half. I don't know if you guys have heard of a pandemic we had going on, where everyone's kind of stuck at home all the time. I've been into video games and things as much as all of you have, but something maybe you just want to not do anything to do with technology, other than the fact that I'm doing it all on a computer. But just the thought of the outdoors helps me want to keep plugging away at the computer. So this app is kind of inspired by my family's enjoyment of camping. And the trips we've enjoyed the most were with friends who were experienced campers, because they brought all the little things that you don't know you need, and they knew all the good campsites were that weren't right next to the toilet. So it was fun. And then we planned our own camping trip when borrowed my parents' camper, and we drove up somewhere in northern Michigan, and it was literally like a parking lot of campers. But looking at the satellite view online, it looks like, oh, it's all trees, it's great. But there's literally like one little shrub, and then another camper, and then a little shrub, and there's like kind of a canopy of trees. So we were a little bit disheartened at our own camping plans. And so this is hopefully the solution to that. So it's a way to discover the outdoors. You can share your story and never stay at a crappy campsite again. So we can get started by searching the database of the national parks. So let's just check camping. So we get a list of campsites available, and I'm gonna just pick Acadia National Park. So when I click on one of the cards, you get details about the camp, activities you can do, what the weather is in that region. You can get directions to it. And down here, you can see how much it costs to get in. And then there's a map view of where the campsite is. And you can click here and you can see the address. And if you click on that link, it'll take you to where there's announcements or alerts as if there's any parks closed or roads closed or anything like that. And so if you decide you like it, you can add it to your favorites, but I'm not logged in yet. So let's log in. If you haven't logged in, you can sign up if you haven't done that yet. So once we're logged in, we can add a park to our favorites. So I already have that one in my favorites. So I will add, how about Adams National Historical Park? We'll click Add Favorites. Now go over to our favorites page. And what I was trying to do with this is, it's great to go visit a site, and when you're at a great campsite, you're like, I'll never forget this campsite 22B on Loop L1 of the North Branch with this camping site. And of course, you'll never remember that, and you won't find your receipt the next time you want to go book it. So that's where I added journals to all of these. So some of these say journals, and some just say park info and plus journals. So that means they don't have any journals yet. And there's 2 sites that I've visited. In my database, the visited column is marked as true. And so if I click on my journals, I can see, the date up here, a photo of my campsite, a little description of what it was like. And so we can see most of them went pretty well, but then we ran into a little snafu where everything was booked. It was way overcrowded, and then it downpoured and we got flooded out. So one nice thing about once you add these in, you can actually, let's add a new one first. So I can add my GPS coordinates, but unfortunately it'll take it from my computer and not from where this campsite is. So I'm going to copy paste this in a second. And today is 7/21. Yeah, some stuff. I can upload a picture. Let's see, how about a palm tree? That looks pretty Acadia National Parky. Now we added that to our journals. It takes a minute for it to upload because there's an API in the background going to Cloudinary. So it's taking that picture and posting it online. And then hopefully by now it is ready in our list. Yep, there's the palm trees. So now if we go to our travelog, which is kind of the main feature of this, it brings up a map of all of our posts. So you can click on it, oops. So you can click on it and see, where was that? Where was this campsite? What did I think about it? So here's the one we just added with the palm trees. And the one that was flooded out was over by the main campsite over here. It was all flooded out and overcrowded because no one wanted to walk the 2 miles into the more desolate campsites. So one thing I'd like to add in the future is to make your journals public or private. So right now they're all marked as private. There's a column in my database to mark them as public so that I could search other people's tabs. And then I would like to add a rating feature. So you can rate it 0 to 5. And then these little markers would turn from like red to green. So all the green sites are the people that had great experiences and like their campsites. So that'll be coming on the next version of this. So we can, let's see, I think that's about all we can do here. And you can remove the park if you'd like to. But another part I added was this collections. Because part of being outside is you're running into a bunch of like plants in nature that you maybe aren't used to. And so you may have a question, is this poisonous? I wonder. So there's a plant database that will identify an image that you upload and it will tell you what it is. So I'm going to upload a dandelion. I didn't get a chance to stylize this page yet, but I just find it really fun that it works. So after you hit OK, it takes a couple seconds, then it comes back with this is one of about 4 or 5 images that they use to compare with your image to see if this is actually your plant. And in fact, it is a dandelion. And so I tried it with a bunch of different plants and every single time it was right. They said they have like an 85 to 90% accuracy rating. It wasn't great with palm trees actually, which is why I had that palm tree image. It showed like different types of palm trees, but it wasn't an exact match. But they did say most of their users are in North America and a majority of it is not tropical. So that's probably why. So that's about all you can do here. Ideally, I'd like to have a collection where you can snap a picture of a plant and it'll identify it. You can save that information, kind of like at your favorites page, except it'd be your plants collection. And then what I didn't get to was adding a birds API where it'll recognize bird calls. And so you can record a bird call, upload the recording, and it'll spit back a picture and a description of the bird, and you can save that in your collection also. But the main feature is the travelogue, because people like to vlog about what they do and people like to watch it. So I think it'd be kind of fun to make it more of a social media end of this. Make it more of a social media outdoors app. I think that is about it.
All right, awesome job, Jeff. We'll take it over to our next panelist, Diana.
Great job. I love all the images, and I love how like clean it looks. It's really easy to navigate, so great job there. I've never actually been to a national park or camping, so this
Try. It's overwhelming though. That's kind of like you Google it and there's like a million campgrounds, especially in Michigan.
Yeah, this would definitely be a good start to figure out what the good ones are.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing I want to talk about first is kind of the journals. I think you kind of talked about it a little bit, but maybe we can expand. You mentioned, I think right now the data is all private to your own posts, or only you can see the posts you made and things like that. And you mentioned maybe making this public so other people can see the data you've uploaded and kind of like make decisions and search from there. I guess, what was your thought process around going the private route first, or why not like start public from the get-go?
I hadn't really thought of it at first. I was thinking more of it being used just to kind of keep organized, become more like a journal than anything else, so that you can just store memories, and it's kind of like a digital photo album in a sense, and just kind of stores your experiences. Because usually you'll go camping and meet up with a bunch of friends for a week or a long weekend. So it's usually memorable experiences. So it's helpful to have like a specific, like this is literally where we were on the map, and here's literally a picture of us when it was happening that I uploaded. It's amazing. So that was the start of it. But then I was realizing like I don't have a ton of camping experience. So it'd be great if I could see someone else's pins. If I could just click their tab of their favorite and see all their pins, like that would be great. Because then I could see like, oh, these are all red, that place sucks. Oh, these are all green, that place looks amazing. So then you can click and see what did they do, where do you stay, how do you get there, what are the ins and outs of that campsite. So that's kind of, it was sort of an afterthought a little bit.
Got it. Yeah, it would definitely be cool to be able to see more of other people's opinions and have that kind of influence your choices. I guess, could you talk a little bit more about the different APIs you use? Was there anything that was maybe more challenging than you thought or simpler than you thought?
There's 4 APIs. There's the National Park database, which is pretty extensive. I'm only using a fraction of what they have. They have also places to stay and operating hours and all kinds of, like it's data in data in data. And they actually made an app about a year ago, the National Park Service, that's really, really well done. It's amazing. That's kind of what I was modeling this off of, or what gave me the idea. But then I added the GPS features, and it does. So if I add a journal and I add GPS, it asks, would you like to apply a GPS location to this field note? You say yes. After a couple seconds, it'll pull my data from my browser. But if I submit that, obviously this park is in Maine and I live in Michigan, so it's not going to be anywhere near on the map. But so there's the National Database or National Parks database, and then the Plant ID API is what recognized the plants. I actually emailed back and forth with them to get some free uses because it's a paid service. It's like 5 cents per scan. I was like, come on, I'm a student. I'm only going to use it like 20 times. And then I kind of explained the app to them, like, hey, sure you can't find a business model for that app? It's kind of interesting. So they're trying to push me to sell them a bunch of scans. But it was pretty nice of them to let me just kind of monkey around with it and figure it out. And then I used Mapbox API to do all the mapping. That was a bit tricky, especially when it came to stylizing. I was using Bootstrap to stylize all the elements. I did all the styling myself with Bootstrap, just kind of one component at a time, and it got insane. My favorites view has like 600 lines of code in it. It's insanity from all the APIs and everything in it. And so I'm constantly like scrolling way up and scrolling way down. I'm sure I could, condense it down to probably half that if I were to go and like rebuild this again. I'm also using Cloudinary's API, which is the free online image and video storage. I'd like to integrate videos with the journal pins. Yeah, I think that's all the APIs that I'm using.
Awesome, well done. That's definitely a lot of different APIs, and obviously every API, they're never the same. So there's probably a lot of work you have to go through, a lot of data wrangling to work through. So great job there.
Yeah, thanks.
I guess final question, if you had more time, of the different features that you mentioned, which one would you want to add first?
Probably the ratings and the sharing journals publicly. I think that would be the kind of essential to make it more useful. Because if I'm an experienced camper and I have 1,000 pins on here of places that are good and bad, that's really valuable to someone that's just like, I don't know where to go. I just moved to California. Where's a great park to go to? I have no idea. So you can at least, just jump in, kind of similar to Logan's, where you can just kind of get a feel for like what's around. I don't even know what to do. I'm new to the area. So yeah, I think those would be the features I would add next, which I do have my database partly set up for, but not near done.
Awesome. And then probably maybe you want to take up that plant API's offer and maybe monetize this. Good job.
I'll try. It'll take a little work, but we'll see.
All right, awesome job, Jeff. Yeah, it's a great app. Some beautiful visuals out there, and hopefully it's a nice balance between the experiences we're offering with Randy's. After you spend 3 hours like crusting your eyes over watching a bunch of Twitch streams and then playing 4 hours of video games on Ryan's app, then you're like, maybe you need to take a break and go outside for a bit, kind of balance it out. Maybe do some mountain climbing like with Logan's app. So balance your computer time and your nature time. It's really nice. All right. Let's go ahead and take it to our next presenter, which is Dan. And the next panelist will be Jay. So Dan, if you want to go ahead and unmute and take over the screen share.
Hello, everybody. This is my app called Job Finder. This was inspired partially by...
Hold up, Dan. I think you still need to take over the screen share.
Okay, so this is my app, Job Finder. So this is partially inspired by Lisa and Career Hacking Sundays. Realized right away how much work that finding a first job out of a boot camp was going to be. So I was going to 5 different sites looking for listings and trying to figure out how to organize really saving them and doing things with them. And this was before we started using Career Score. So my idea was to come up with something that would help with the process. This is the front page where people who are not logged in, non-users can come and just see a listing of jobs. These are pulled from weworkremotely.com. If you want to see the full listing, you can go right down here and click it and it'll just pop up the external link. For people who are logged in, let me just go ahead. It's going to give them just a little bit more increased functionality and ability to really cycle through this is a feed of jobs that can get updated as often as I'd like. Let's say we're coming out of Actualize and we're saying, hey, I want a job that focuses on the things we really spent time learning: Rails, Ruby, and JavaScript. Now, all of these jobs that are here are going to be ones that include all 3 of those things. And that was kind of a question I had with myself. Would a user prefer the job listing to include anything that they check, or would they prefer it to include everything that they check? So that was kind of something that I'm debating on. I'm not really sure, but anyway, that's how it works right now. We'll see here these jobs that fit all of our check marks, like, TED Talks, I know what that is. Go ahead and save that. We go up here, I like to play poker, so we'll save that one too. And then we go ahead and we can uncheck these and it'll just repopulate the full list. When we want to actually do something, after we're done saving jobs, go right up here. And it's going to give you a list of jobs that you're interested in. You can kick those out with unsave. You can still see the full listing. And then this here is something that I was kind of inspired to do just because I've seen a lot of junior listings that have 200 plus applicants on them on the job posting. And I'm just like, how am I supposed to do quick applies, but do something that makes me stand out a little bit? So what this does is it takes these technologies and it'll generate a cover letter for you using those technologies that are taken right from the job listing. So you'll see here, saw that TED Conferences was looking for someone with a real skill in JavaScript and Ruby. Capstone also involved using Rails as well. And that is going to be changed a lot as I kind of move forward and see other job listings and see how I might want to tweak that a little bit. But then you can just go right back here and it's going to take you right back to the home, continue saving things if you'd like, generate more cover letters, go to the full listing and apply and use that cover letter. And that's my app to help you find your first job out of a boot camp. Kind of meta, but that's my app.
All right, awesome job, Dan. We'll take it over to Jay Wengro,
I
who
love this.
actually, actually knows about searching for jobs, and it's not completely out of his wheelhouse like the whole Twitch gamer culture.
This is fantastic, Dan. Really great idea and really well implemented. The user experience is like really easy, I think, for the user and simple, and it seems like you really thought about that. Cool. So let's see, where do we start? So the data is coming from We Work Remotely. Is that the data source right now?
Yeah.
Awesome. So theoretically, these jobs are remote.
Yes. Yeah.
So you don't need to like worry about location. Like you don't need that as a factor here.
Yep.
Got it. Cool. I love the generate. I think it's so clever, the generate cover letter idea. So currently, how does it choose what to fill in there? Does it just take like the first two technologies there, or how does that work?
Yeah, I purposely picked ones that had 3 technologies because that's what's built into it. But yeah, it just takes the first 3 and plugs them in. Yeah, first 3, but I would put more logic in there going forward, like depending on how long the length of their, saved technologies are for that job, it would only do that many or something like that.
Got it. Now in the We Work Remotely data, are the technologies, is that like its own like little section within the API?
It's actually an RSS feed.
RSS feed, okay.
So I'm kind of parsing through it and I just manually put in an array of technologies that I wanted my backend to look for. And then it would just draw them out and put it into an array.
Really interesting. So is it parsing it then from like the description or just from the entire thing?
From the whole description. So that starts with the first thing in the description is the image source.
Yeah.
So I use that to create a column to actually do the logos. And then it goes through the description and picks out relevant technologies that are in ones that I manually put in.
That's really interesting. So you really tailored it to this API. That's really clever. Cool. And then when someone saves it to the database, what exactly gets saved?
It is the user ID. Actually, user ID, the job ID, and then a status of saved.
Got it. So it's a job ID.
Yeah, and then it gets the company through the job.
So when you go to the Save Jobs page, it has to ping the API again to look up the information of each of those job IDs, right?
Well, no, it's still through my back end. It doesn't have to like refetch it. But yeah, it just comes from the my back end.
Got it. Cool. What are you planning on doing next with this app?
I want to add a LinkedIn aspect of it, whether it's being able to connect with other people. So you might be able to see connections pop up on Slab, for example, like people I'm connected with at this company, or add in the LinkedIn job listings. I'm not sure how good or like how extensive the LinkedIn API is yet. That probably would have taken me a whole other boot camp to add in with OAuth and everything. But it would be to add in LinkedIn or add in jobs from other sources, just to populate just like these.
Yeah, this is a really cool idea, Dan, and I really like the way that you've gone ahead and implemented it.
Thank you.
Amazing work.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, it's amazing stuff. I love the auto cover letter. Obviously, it's just a starting point, but you can use it to really kickstart the thing. Like nobody wants to write all this text, and just having that little starting point to get you started is often enough. It'd be hilarious if you can incorporate some like random artificial intelligence, so it just says like really weird things and just kind of like makes it personable in a really random way. But yeah, really, really practical. All right, so great job, Dan. Let's take it to our next presenter. I believe we have two left, which is Clay and Josh. So Clay, if you want to take over the screen share, and the next panelist will be Diana.
There we go. Perfect. I'll minimize that to sound everybody's. Hi guys. My app, I drew inspiration directly from one of my favorite apps that actually is on your cell phone, which is called CoStar. CoStar dealt directly with this like idea of like using astrology, but making it like fun and approachable to like the general public. And one of the things I really liked about it was like you had friends on there, you could compare with it, and it acted less as like this like mystical, magical thing that was going on, and more of like a like thought guide. So you would get like your horoscope, and it would be something that was like, hey, maybe you should like think about how you're getting overexcited or overconfident about this. Like let's moderate your expectations about some idea or something like that. So I wanted to bring that idea and bring it forward to tarot cards. If you don't know what tarot cards are, they're an ages-old device that was a deck of cards that essentially each one of the different card faces means a different kind of fortune that you can draw. They found their initiation in like this, I think the 7th or 8th century, supposedly in Europe. But they're lots of fun. They're really cool. You can buy all sorts of fun decks and everything like that. And so I wanted to make an app that kind of harnessed that energy in a social and fun way. The way that I did that is that I actually designed an experience that is centered around both the casual user and a more integrated user who wanted to log in, sign up, and everything like that. So the first thing I'll show you is kind of the more casual user who can just come to the front page. They can walk in, they can press the button, and they can get a card. They draw the card. It has, like, it's drawn the 5 of Cups and has a pretty dour fortune, to be completely honest. So this is not a great one, but you know what? We all have bad days, so that's fine. And in addition to that, just a basic ability to draw a card as you wanted to and become more familiar with like the actual process of it. I did provide a data bank of all the 78 cards, as well as their different definitions. They can mean different things if they're upside down versus right side up, which is always fun. And so that's all linked in there as well. Beyond that, if you're not a casual user and you wanted to actually log in and sign up and become a user on the website, we have some more functionality. I have set up a test account, so we will go ahead and just sign into that test account. But once you sign into the test account, you get access to your account page. And your account page has a couple of really cool things on it. So your account, like I sort of started to allow for you to create your own like user profile image and kind of customize that a little bit, as well as seeing your last draws from the last week to kind of get a better idea of like how you've been drawing, how your luck has been, what the cards are telling you over the last period of time. And one of the features that I've been starting to integrate to mixed results has been the idea of friends and having the ability to follow your friends and see what their fortunes are. Ideally, down the line in the V2 of this, you would have the ability to do things like send reminders to your friends, or like draw cards with your friends, or interact with your friends in other social ways that can really build out this app, and everything like that. But I did track all of this in the back end. So there's a very comprehensively built out back end to follow my simpler and more user-friendly front end. I would say the only other thing to mention is that I did design the entire app in mind with the idea that it could be viewed on a cell phone, which would be another feature that I have not figured out how to implement, but I'm looking forward to the challenge of trying. So everything on this app actually shrinks down and looks pretty good on something that would approach the size of a cell phone. So you can draw a card and it will still do everything just like that. So yeah, that is tarot.
All righty, awesome job, Clay. We'll take it to our next panelist, Diana.
Hi, nice job. I don't know too much about tarot, so it's kind of nice to be able to see something about a subject I don't know that much about and being able to learn a little bit more, so that's cool. I guess, do you want to tell us more a little bit about what is your favorite feature and any challenges you found along the way?
Sure. I think it probably my favorite feature of it was just actually the richness of data that I managed to find on it, which I will admit was a little bit challenging at first because there are a lot of Rails app backends that people have built at different times that look to be capstones that essentially captured the very casual aspect of this project, which was just the flipping of the card. So trying to find an API that would actually provide me with all the card data and all the fortunes, and then the fortunes actually multiply against each other. And one of the things that I want to get actually done in V2 as well is the 3-card draw, but that actually increases the amount of data exponentially. So trying to find a data source for that was really interesting, and trying to find an API was virtually impossible. So what I ended up doing was actually scraping the data that someone else had put in to their Rails backend for another project. And that was a really interesting process and one of my favorite features.
Nice. That sounds like it was a little bit complicated. It's definitely always tough to build things around things that you don't have like a full data source around. So good job there. I guess maybe this is more me not knowing much about the subject, but when you click show fortune,
yes,
is it a different fortune every time, or is it meant to be like, for today, this is the card you're going to see, and you keep getting that value until the next day?
Yeah, so it is a different fortune every time right now. Just for show purposes, I kind of wanted to keep it that way so we could see a good handful of all the different cards, since I did manage to get some good rich data. But ideally, in the finished product, it would be sort of a daily fortune where like it would send you a reminder. You could go in, you could draw your fortune for the day. You'd have your one card that kind of give you like your drawing for the day, and that would be it. And that way, we could also track in the back end. I have cards that are attached to fortunes, and then fortunes that are attached to users. And so that provides kind of a little bit of an intermediary basis where all the data has new and fun and interesting ways that I can associate it between users.
Cool. And I think in your account, you mentioned there's like friends and things like that.
Yeah.
How do you go about, I guess, adding your friends, or how do you make that association?
So that was one of the most complicated portions of this, and one that is not completely finished yet. I basically hard-coded a couple of users to have associations with other friends at this point. And we actually followed one of the models that we used in pre-work, well, not in pre-work, in the actual course itself, that was essentially the Twitter follower format. And so having users that are essentially followers of others' users. So users can have users through a special table of it. And so essentially we would be putting in a friends add function at some point where I could add in extra ones, and they would look essentially like this, where you'd have the user, their last card drawings, et cetera, and so forth.
Awesome. Yeah. The followee concept is definitely something difficult to work around. So
it was mind-numbingly intense.
Yeah, good job though. It sounds like you have a start there, so keep working on it. And I guess what is that the next thing that you would want to add, or is there any other feature that you think is top of mind first?
I do think that the friends function is definitely top of mind first, since it really adds more of the social aspect, which is what I was shooting for with the project essentially. So I think that definitely factors in as probably the next biggest item that I'd like to hit. Because I think it really would flesh out that kind of functionality that gave me the inspiration for the app in the first place.
Awesome. Great job.
Thank you.
All righty. Yeah, great job, Clay. Love the cards, love the visual stuff. I'm not super into tarot. I probably know more about astrology than I do about tarot, and that's not saying too much. But it is something that I've more recently sort of gotten into, and I would love to explore more. So definitely looking forward to when you have this app online, and I can take a look at my gloomy fortunes as well. As soon as you hit that first fortune, I'm like, oh, that's a gloomy start to the day. But I've seen some other fortunes in there.
I was really hoping for a good one right off the bat.
Yeah. All righty. Let's take it to our last but not least presenter, which is Josh. So Josh, if you want to unmute your mic and take over the screen share and begin whenever you are ready.
All right, I think I should be live now. I'm Josh. Before starting this boot camp, I was an attorney for 5 years. And one thing I really noticed in cases that involve a whole lot of audiovisual exhibits, specifically criminal cases with body cameras, really any sort of case that involves recorded phone conversations, clients' bills are going to get really high because lawyers are spending a lot of time watching these things over and over and just trying to take notes. So what my app is designed to do is organize these files based on case and generate some pretty cool data based on what you upload. And we'll kind of get into that as I log in here. Oop, there we go. So I'm just gonna actually start with if anyone's familiar with the Phoenix Wright series of video games, a famous video game lawyer. And here we just have like kind of what the general page looks like, right? We have some test files that I've uploaded here. And here's the cool feature that I wanted to show is I use a backend API that actually will create a transcript of the file. And if I play this right here, you can actually
Machine learning is employed in a range of computing tasks where designing and programming explicit algorithms with good performance is difficult or infeasible.
So you see there, like that's the words that were actually uploaded there, but you don't want to see just some example data. You want to see some real privileged client information here. So these cases and the files don't actually belong to individual users. They belong to law firms, right? So as you can see up here, this lawyer belongs to the law firm of Lever, Quick, and Hyde. And I have Larry, Curly, and Mo are all attorneys for this very prestigious law firm. Oh, maybe Mo doesn't work there anymore. I'm not sure. Oh no, he does. He just forgot his password. But yeah, you see they all come up with the exact same series of cases. Yeah, we have Oscar the Grouch actually has 2 cases here. Big Bird's got a big important case. It's got a lot of videos associated with it, but those files are a little too graphic for me to show in the presentation. So I think I'm actually going to go up here and show you what happens if we want to add a new file to the case. So right here we have Bert and Ernie getting a divorce, and our client Bert just sent us a new file. So I'm going to get that from here. It's a recording of Ernie just harassing him in the middle of the night. So I'm going to give that a name. And in order to get an accurate transcription, I need to tell it how many people are talking. So in this file, I've already watched it. I happen to know there's only 2, Bert and Ernie. And I'm going to submit that. It's going to take a little while to respond here. So I'm actually just going to move over to a new tab while it's working on that. And yeah, show you. So over here, you can see on some of these files that we already have, it generates a transcript that follows the entire thing. And we can actually go to that file itself. And you'll see what I pull up here. It'll actually create a time-coded table right here. And let's say you wanted to go right to, you're showing this in court. It's a 30-minute long video file, let's say, and there's one particular spot that you want to show. And that's when Ernie starts barking at Bert like a dog and annoying him while he's trying to read. So I'm just going to pull that up right there. The video loads right up to that time code, and let's watch.
The loud sound of a dog barking, like woof, 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 bark, bark, like that.
And this entire transcript was generated based on that Amazon Web Services API. I think that other file should have finished uploading by now. Then we can see that yeah, it goes right there up at the top as a new file in the Bert and Ernie divorce case. It doesn't have a transcript yet, but we can actually create one. And that'll just take a couple minutes to, well, not a couple minutes, but it should show up here pretty soon. In the meantime, you can also search, it says search cases there, but this is actually the search for particular video files if there's one that you were looking for. I guess want to see right here where Oscar was yelling at Grover. But yeah, let's refresh this page, see if that transcript is generated yet. Well, it's not yet, but you know, it's a fairly complicated task that's taking place there on the back end. Takes a minute or two, but that's essentially the main features of my app. I'll probably try giving it a refresh when the panelists are asking me questions, but I think that's the main features we got here.
All right, awesome job. Josh, you'll take it to our final panelist, which is Jay.
Yeah, this is awesome. My mind is blown, Josh. Really cool. So tell me more about working with the AWS API. So is it like sort of magic? You like send it a file, you send it a file and it does its work?
Yeah, let me, you know, I can actually pull up the code here. If you give me a second. Actually, no, I can't. I don't have that open right now. No, here it is. But yeah, I mean, it's just a big, long function with a lot of parameters you're trying to send over to it. And yeah, you're telling it, well, here's how many people are talking. Here's the exact bucket I want you to spit this out into. Yeah, and yeah, there it is. It's pulled up to that file.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically where you're sending the request to the Amazon API.
And then when it gives you back the transcript, what format does that look like?
It comes as a JSON, and right there you see what I do. I don't actually save the JSON in my database because it's a huge file. I can actually show you how long it is. I do have that also pulled up kind of as an example. This is the actual data that comes back on a transcript that's used to build that table I was showing earlier. It has the start times, the end times, and the actual words are located in a separate array within the JSON. And if you see where that scroll bar is, this is a long file
Wow.
for a 3-minute video.
So you have to take all of that and generate
Right.
that table of the different speakers.
Right.
Yikes. Was that difficult?
All right. So actually generating the table, I cheated a little bit on that one. That one was hard coded, but yeah, I mean there is a loop you can kind of run through, and I think if I had an extra day, I could have done that. But
got it. But
yeah, that data could be used to make a table like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of data to sift through. How did you make it? I thought it was really cool that when you click on one of the sentences of conversation, it immediately goes to that point in the video.
So the HTML tag for a video in HTML, like you can put put an attribute on it that I just pass through as a vbind. That's going to have the time code of where that sentence is. And I actually did put them on more than just that sentence. But I just built this table manually because you can go to any time in the video.
Right. So embedded in there is the point in time in the video that it is corresponding to. Really cool. If you change those text boxes, speaker 1, speaker 2, does that change anything?
Yes, it does. On this page only, I think I kind of ran out of time to make an actual way of editing that disgustingly massive JSON file, but
oh, that's really cool.
Yeah,
that's sweet. Yeah, this is amazing. It's really impressive. It's really cool how you're able to take a real problem from the legal industry and really use technology in a really cool way to make this really interesting solution for it. yeah, have you tried doing it with multiple, like more than 2 people? Does it seem to come back accurately?
It can do up to 8. And I mean, like if you read that transcript word for word, right? And like sometimes it gets the speaker wrong too. Like it says, "Hi there, Bert. Hi, Iron." Which
I see.
first of all, "Hi, Iron," which
it's not
that's actually
perfect.
Bert saying, "Hi, Ernie," but it's yeah, but
Got it.
it's still going to use something that's usable. And the idea is they'd get you a starting point to where someone else could then edit it and make a more accurate transcription.
Yeah.
Rather than just trying to make one completely from scratch. But I mean, it's and like this is just completely like what I mean, like here's the one that we just generated, right? Like I'm assuming that bird right there is actually Bert.
Right.
You know, if you want to, yeah.
What was the most challenging part of this? Of building the app in general?
Funnily enough, like just getting the file onto the Amazon Web Services server was actually like more difficult than I thought it would be. Peter was helping me with that one night at like 1 a.m. And it's just because of the syntax that their SDK uses, that like you have to create an instance of a client which uses your authentication, which then you use that client to make a request, and you have to like, and I wasn't passing through the file as a parameter correctly at first, and but it's working. So
yeah, this is amazing, Josh. Really, really impressed. I'd love to see what you do with this app in the future. That'd be really cool to see this, because there's just so many cool features about it. So really, really nice job. Congrats.
Thank you.
All right, awesome job, Josh. I think I'm going to take over the screen share. Yeah, and yeah, like I said, awesome job with that, Josh. As Jay said, you know, taking a very real world scenario. I don't know how comfortable I am for you putting real clients out there with their divorce, you know, settlement, all that kind of stuff. But you know, for the sake of the presentation, I can understand. You know, hopefully, you know, the client attorney privilege was not breached in any way that wasn't contractual.
I don't know if anyone noticed, but there's actually a big disclaimer right on my homepage. It says, "Do not use this app to upload sensitive data."
Yeah. All right. Awesome job. So yeah, I think that is everybody's presentations. So before we close out this live stream, I just wanted to say congratulations again to all of the students who are graduating from this cohort. For those of you who are watching, you know, at home, if you've never built an app like this, it's just a tremendous amount of work to accomplish some of the smallest things. And so the students in this cohort, you know, had been working on this for the last 2 weeks or so. And as Jay had mentioned, you know, some of them are working full-time jobs, they have kids. So just being able to pull off these features that you're seeing here is a tremendous amount of work. I know I went through a boot camp many moons ago. And I'm always very, very impressed with the quality and the care that every one of you really took towards, you know, making all of these apps your own. Jay, I don't know if you wanted to say some last words before we call it a night.
I wasn't planning on it, but now that you asked, I would love to say that these apps and presentations were fantastic. They're all extremely impressive. And, you know, I was excited going into it, but now I'm like super proud seeing all of this once I've seen it all. So congratulations to everyone.
All right. And with that, I think we can have Macy give the closing statement. No, I'm just kidding, Macy. She had a little heart attack over there. No. Yeah, just wanted to say congrats to everybody one last time. Really, I've been working with everybody really closely for the last couple of weeks and for the last 12 weeks for this entire class. And I just want to say, you know, especially, you know, I guess it must be noted that going through a boot camp is incredibly stressful. Going through a boot camp towards the end of a global pandemic, I think adds a whole other layer to this. And the fact that you were able to all do this so professionally with such poise, like nobody cracked under pressure, everybody was feeling it, but y'all really came through together. And I told you in the end, y'all didn't believe me a week ago, but I told you it's going to come together. You guys are going to be able to do a great job. And everybody did an amazing job with these presentations. So yeah. With that, I will conclude this particular set of Capstone presentations. Thanks to everybody who is watching. And yeah, we'll catch you next